Hey everyone, how's everybody doing today? Doing well here myself. I just wanted to come on here and talk about a couple different things. It's just about, I'm going to talk about, like I normally talk about experiences and how things happen. And one is I took a little drive up to Santa Barbara because I was doing a trade with a guy. He had a phone that I wanted, and I had a phone that he wanted, so we did a even trade, as he calls an exchange. So I went up to Santa Barbara to do it. That's where he lived, and so yeah, a far trip, but it was really good for me to get out. And I love Santa Barbara. It's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous up there. It was kind of rainy and overcast when I went up there, which you know, which is fine. It just has a certain vibe about it. I don't know what it is. Once I get up there, I mean, once I hit, you know, when I can see out and look at the Channel Islands, I mean, I think that's, although it was foggy, I couldn't see it, but I think once I hit the coast, it's just a different vibe than where I live along the coast. And so I just, hadn't been up there so I thought this would be a great just one day trip to go up there. And I actually took one of my dogs, Betsy, and took a drive up there. And anyway, I had to take the 101 because the coast was closed through Malibu. I think it's to residents only, but because of all the fire activity that was up there in January, which I think is odd why they're not letting people drive through there, but whatever, whatever they want to do. Um, so, and there was traffic, but I don't mind driving. Valley drivers are so much different than LA drivers. There's just you get over the Sepulveda Pass and it's just a different ball game. And I don't mind driving in the valley because the people drive fast. They do drive fast and they drive quick, um, but they're not necessarily the bad drivers that are on the other side of the hill. That's just my opinion. That's just what I've experienced, and I've lived out here long enough to experience it. So I don't mind driving, the 101. It wasn't bad at all. And I had stopped in Camarillo to go to the bathroom and to let Betsy go to the bathroom. And pulled into a Chevron station, and it's a kind of station where they have a little island store, and the attendant is inside that little store, and then the bathrooms are off to the side. So I went in, and the lady was stocking the shelves, and I said, "Hey," I said, "do we have to have a code or a key to get in?" She goes, "The key's right here." So the key was right by the doorway, and it was hanging right next to the door frame. And so I go to grab it, and the stick is probably this long that they have on this key. And I looked at her and I said, "Do I just leave it in the door? Do I just leave it in the door? Will it fit through the doorway?" I was joking, of course. And she just kind of laughed. She goes, "I haven't heard people say that. I've just heard people complain about how, how, why do we have such a large stick for this thing?" And she says, "You don't understand. We've got several extra keys," but she goes, "People don't take it when it's on that big of a stick." And I said, "Well, that's true." So anyway, we laughed about that. So I went and used the restroom and then came back and put it back. And I said, she was just so super nice, just a super nice person. And, it's just when you're nice to people, they're generally nice to you back. And when you joke for people, they kind of see that you're not so uptight about things, and that's why I joked about it. And so I just told her, I said, "Well, thank you very much." I put it back, and I said, "Thank you very much." And she said, "You have a wonderful day." And I said, "Thank you, I will. You too." And so I left, and I went over to my car, and they had a nice grassy area, so I let my dog out to go potty too. She went potty, and that was good. So then we got back in the car and kept going to Santa Barbara, and so. Um, we got up there, and I was meeting this gentleman in a parking lot at one of the smaller hospitals there in, I don't know if it's a hospital or medical center. I think it was stated a hospital, but so I met the guy there in the parking lot, and it was drizzling and kind of raining and overcast and cold, and I'm outside in my car, and I waited there for probably I was hoping he was going to show up, and he did. He ended to show up 25 minutes later, and he reset his phone. I showed him my phone, and it was funny. He didn't speak any English whatsoever. So we were going through a translator on his phone. He had a translator app on his phone. It was hysterical. It was hysterical just because I talked to the phone, he'd look at it, then he would respond to the phone. And it made me laugh because I just thought, yeah, this is the new style of trade. He kept calling it exchange because there was no money given to him or given to me. We just exchanged phones because they were the same value, and it made me laugh because I just thought, this is hysterical. We're doing it in a parking lot at a hospital of all places, but it was funny. It was funny, and he was such a nice and genuine good person. And it's funny, I want him to try to find me a watch for this phone because you can't get these watches. You can, but generally, you can't. They're not. They won't. You can't have them shipped to the United States. But so anyway, he's gonna try to find me the watch that I want. So that's what kind of person. And I'm gonna have to make another trip to Santa Barbara, but I'm good with it because maybe he'll want to trade my other watch for that. I haven't asked him yet. I'm gonna wait until he finds the thing. But he was happy with the trade. I was happy with the trade, and it took like 20 minutes to get everything done and get it all reset, and then I ended up leaving, and I had to go use the restroom. So I just searched a fast food place just to use the restroom, thinking that I could just go use the restroom. There's not a lot of fast food places in Santa Barbara. There's a few, but there's only a couple. And so if I would have went to the other place, I probably wouldn't have had this problem. But I went to the closest place because I wanted to get back on the road, and I also wanted to drive by the pier and that kind of thing and just kind of soak in a little bit of great energy because, like I said, Santa Barbara's got a really good feel to it. I love it. I've been there a lot, 20 years ago, and I hadn't been there in 15 years. So I definitely want to drive through and, enjoy it. I'm eventually going to go up there for a couple days, probably this fall. So anyway, getting back to the story. So I go to the first fast food place that's the closest, and of course I walk in and it says that the bathrooms, you have to be a paying customer. I understand why they do it. I understand why they do it because of what's going on with the homeless people, and I get that. But I'm not homeless. I'm not going to destroy your bathroom. I'm just going to use the facilities. But I decided I was going to follow the rules. So I walk up to the girl she's restocking the something, and I walk up and I said, "Good afternoon." I said, "How are you doing?" She says, she looks me straight in the eye, doesn't even say a word about what I just said to her, and she says, "What can I get you?" And I said, I just kind of looked at her and I said, "I'll get a small soda." I said, "Since I have to buy a soda to use your restroom." And I said it like that, and I wasn't rude, and she said it'll be $3.57. And she gives me the thing, and she wasn't going to give me the receipt, and I just grabbed the receipt, and I said, "You have a wonderful day." And I was being nice. I was being nice. I wasn't being smart aleck. She didn't say anything. And then when I got my soda and left, and I said, "Have a great day," nothing. So I went over and took 2 swigs of the soda and threw it away because I don't drink soda a lot. So anyway, going to use the restroom, go out to my car, and I let my dog out, and they had another little grassy area, and she went potty, and didn't have to pay $3.57. But anyway, I should have just asked to use the restroom because, like I said, I don't think I look homeless, but who knows? But it was just interesting. I guess my point being is if somebody's nice to you, just at least try to crack a smile. I don't care if she's having a bad day, but I could have turned the tables and just been a total jerk to her when she was a total jerk to me. My mom always told me, if you want to be treated well, you treat the person you're talking to well, and you'll be treated well. But if you're going to treat the person like a jerk, you're going to be treated like a jerk. And she told me that when I was 5 years old. But I'm just saying, The other two experiences with the gentleman that I traded the phone for and the woman at the gas station, it's just interesting. I guess it was just I got good treatment 2 out of 3 people. I guess that's good odds instead of 1 out of 3. But I guess I could do it opposite. 1 out of 3 persons was nasty. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get. I mean, I get people have bad days, but all I can say is me being nice to her, I thought that would put her in a different attitude, behavior towards me, but it didn't do it. And she just either, maybe she doesn't like white people. I don't know. And if she only knew that I'm not really truly white, but you know, I mean, I do have a mix in me, but I look white. And anyway, like I said, it doesn't matter, but I don't understand if I was rude to her, I could see her being rude, but she's in customer service. So I did not a very nice thing, but I went and filled out and I did it over the phone. I didn't do it on the internet. So there was a place where they said my bad experience they'd like me to tell the bad experience. And like I said, she was just rude. And I was following the rules. So she didn't need, it's not like I went up and asked her to use the bathroom without paying for something. And I should have just asked what's the cheapest on the menu. I think that was probably it, a small soda for $3.57. But $3.57, isn't that yeah, anyway. So I digress. So I'm just coming on here because I just thought it was very interesting how she acted towards me. And like I said, at least I have 2 people out of 3 that were very nice and genuine. So that's all good. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day. If you like this, make a comment if you've ever had this happen. I just think what it is I just think people are just so unhappy with their lives that they can't be nice. And, a lot of things with the fakey, phony social media and all the stuff that's out there, I think people are they're raised in a society where they think everything's perfect, and then they actually go out and experience life, and that's when it's really bad because people just, that's not what it showed me on TV. That's why I said, it's easier to be nice than it is to be mean, but whatever. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.